So I was talking about this number 84 and how it's heavily coded into Obama and things pertaining to this nation. Whenever I see this number, it makes me think of the George Orwell novel 1984, which was written after World War II, about a futuristic nation, a very powerful nation that was always at war and which ruled its people with tyranny. And the people knew they were always at war, but they didn't know for what reasons. And as a people, they knew that they were supposed to be quiet or there could be consequences. The book is a lot more harsh than the current United States, but there are many parallels to draw from it that align perfectly with the nation we now live in. And being aware that United States of America sums to 84 makes the book 1984 all the more interesting. That book, 1984, begins on the date of April 4th, which are the first words in the book. April 4th. In history, this is the date that the first ever president died in office, William Henry Harrison, the 9th president. The next president to die in office will be the 9th president to have died in office. The last was John F. Kennedy, the 44th term president. Of course, April 4th is the day Martin Luther King Jr. died as well, another very famous political assassination. Notice that if you write out the word 44 and if you write out the date April 4th, it sums to 144. These numbers 44 and 144 show up all the time in political assassinations. Abraham Lincoln is the first president to officially be assassinated. Abraham is a name with 44 gematria. It's said in history that on April 4th, he dreamed he would be shot and killed, only to be shot and killed 10 days later. He was shot April 14th, Good Friday, died early the next morning, April 15th, 1865. Shot by an actor, died in a theater that Obama reopened at the beginning of his presidency, February 11th, 2009. Lincoln would die not long after giving the Gettysburg Address. The last president to die in office was JFK, who died on the first day of Sagittarius as the 44th term president. His brother would die in 68 months after MLK at 1:44 in the morning. This coding is redundant, truth seeker. It might even be foreshadowed in Obama in his first biography that he released. In that book, Obama begins the book by saying that he's lived in the United States from 71 to 2004, which is a span of 33 years. 71 also happens to be one of these numbers with 144 gematria. And right now, Biden is his vice president. He's the 47th vice president of the United States. The word president has a gematria of 47. Anyhow, if Biden becomes president, he will have had the numbers coded into him that will have foreshadowed Obama's fate as well. President Biden has this gematria of 144. His wife's name also sums to 144, President Biden. Quite alarming. If you're not aware, Biden made his way into political office by having his wife and child sacrificed. The people who govern over us are the sickest of tyrants. That's how they're able to go before us and lie so smoothly in the cameras, because they're well-groomed to wrongdoing and deceit and dishonesty. We are led by the worst among us. So with regards to 1984, the main character of the book 1984 is named Winston. And I want to talk about his name for a transition point. The main character's name is a name with 33 gematria as well as 114 gematria. Remember, this book was written at the end of World War II. Keep that gematria in mind as we talk about World War. World War itself has a gematria of 114. 1984 was about a nation that's always at war. Pearl Harbor, which got the United States involved in World War II, has a gematria of 114. Notice the event that got us into the war happened on islands acquired near Japan, and the attack was blamed on Japan. Once upon a time, Teddy Roosevelt said we needed to acquire the Hawaiian Islands for the benefit of the white race. His words, not mine. and also for military strategic purposes. That's because we're living out this agenda. All these men know what we're building towards. They know what has to be done to get there. We're living out something long planned out. The Holocaust, another word with 114 gematria. The word Holocaust means burnt animal sacrifice to the gods. Quite a term, one you would have to ask, why would anybody ever use it? The reason they use it is because it has their gematria. This gang that rules over us with deceit, they are numerologists. They worship certain numbers. 33 is the master teacher number in numerology. The word teacher has a gematria of 33. We are taught to believe and to believe lies from a young age by people in high places. Let me show you something about December 7th in history, Truth Seeker. That's the date Pearl Harbor happened. That also happens to be the date in history, December 7th, 1917, that we first officially entered into World War I. So it was a December 7th for World War I and World War II. And what a lot of people don't realize is that December 7th, 1787, is the date Delaware was established, the very first state, on a date with 33 numerology. This war empire created by the numbers that codes the same numbers again and again. Notice that before December 7th, before we officially declared war, our Congress started April 2nd, 1917, and again April 4th, 1917. Let me show you what was so special about those dates, Truth Seeker. April 2nd, 1970, 4-2, a lot like 42, was also a date with 42 numerology. The word war has a gematria of 42. April 4th, 1917, 4-4, a lot like 44, also a date with 44 numerology, just like the gematria of military. Pythagorean, military sums to 44, and war, in simple English, sums to 42. History by the numbers. NATO, the international war military force that is used to fund ISIS and all this wrongdoing, was established in history on April 4th, 4-4. The former leader of NATO, Wesley Clark, look at his name, Gematria, Truth Seeker. So what I'm saying here, Truth Seeker, is they have something lined up for Obama. I don't know what day they have planned, but I'm trying to anticipate it. I'm trying to see what might make sense. If they plan to use the hoax assassination of Obama like a Pearl Harbor-like event to launch us into more war, it might make sense to measure from Pearl Harbor Day. Pearl Harbor Day has gematria of 144, this number of destruction, this number of killing, this number of war. 10 days later has the gematria of 144. 10 days later from Pearl Harbor Day will be December 17th, 2015, a date with 44 numerology. And again, 44 comes right back to 144. Something's in the works, Truth Seeker. People are pointing out that something was up with Obama's speech last night. I watched a lot of videos today to see what people thought. The Black Child put out an interesting video noting that this was the first ever presidential address from the Oval Office that featured a podium. And I have a take on why there might have been a podium in there, but the Black Child thinks it's for preparing us for a green screen event with the president. And what I'm telling you is that green screen event, if it is to happen, will be his hoax assassination. We live in the age of special effects. We can be fooled through screens. We were on September 11th. It will be done again, and it might be done with this president. With regards to the World Trade Centers, they were opened in history on April 4th, 1973. They existed for 33 years, from 68 to 2001. They were open for 28. Anyhow, Obama's address yesterday in front of the podium, the first ever podium address from the Oval Office. Podium is a word with 33 gematria. Yesterday's date was a numerology with 33 connections. Again, on the 150th anniversary of the repeal of the 13th Amendment. So the Black Child, he pointed out how this entire backdrop is green screen. Obama wasn't even really in the Oval Office, and I think from watching his video, which I will link in the description, He is correct. I think he is right that it was not really the Oval Office. It was a backdrop. We are being conditioned as an audience to accept fake backgrounds as part of our ongoing conditioning and programming. He thinks that Obama was also a hologram. I don't think that's true. I could be wrong. I recognize the technologies out there. We could be deceived in such a way. But what's interesting to note is hologram has gematria 44. Obama's the 44th president. He might be the right man at the right place at the right time for such an event. Also, what I noticed is in the background, I caught this last night just watching it live, the picture of Obama's family in the background doesn't have him in it. It's Michelle and the kids with no Obama. What's that about? That is creepy. What's the message? I wanted to look up who was in charge of the hologram company that did the Tupac and Michael Jackson hologram performances. It's this man, Alki David, Greek billionaire. I noticed right away that Alki name is a 33 name. That is not his birth name. That is his name that he prefers to go by. I suspect because that's because he's in the gang. I also noticed he was born in the year 68, the year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, the year World Trade Center construction began, the year George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones. 1968, special year, the year Hologram Man is from. His birth name, Alcibiades, even has the gematria of 84. You know? Let me show you something about 33, though, in the hologram performances we've seen. They've been done for Tupac and Michael Jackson. It was done on April 17th, 2012, a date with 33 numerology at Coachella, which is on the 33rd parallel and has gematria of 33. It was done there for Tupac. The name Shakur has gematria of 33. And it was also done for Michael Jackson at the MGM in Las Vegas. Michael, a 33 name. MGM, a 33 location. I don't think this is any coincidence. This is all trademarks of the rulers of this world who rule us through propaganda, which is largely put out on screens. We're living in a mad time run by mad people who use all these tricks to deceive us. So don't put it past yourselves that there might be a hoax assassination of Obama to bring a head to this shooting race war agenda that the media has been provoking us with in the time of Obama. Done a lot of work on this channel on all that provocation. And with regards to doing things by 33 and provoking people, look at this recent headline. The White House canceling Christmas after 33 years. It's not Obama's decision. It's the tyrant's decision. This is how they rule. By the numbers, by divide and conquer. Order through chaos. So these are my thoughts on Obama's speech. I'll link that Black Child video if you haven't seen it. We could be getting holographic images of the president on TV, or we could just be getting trained for a well thought out, technologically advanced level of deception. Until next time.